It's true.
So how long after you started training did you start doing matches, like wrestling and stuff?
I trained for about 8 months, and then I had my very first match. It was a battle royal at Conestoga College. Ironically.
With the tiger?
What's the iron there? Yeah, with the tiger.
The tiger at intermission?
Ike had a tiger, and it was a super long show. Of course he had a tiger.
Because of the intermission, wasn't that like an hour and a half?
And it was a battle royal against Joey Legend, and I was like third in and third out or fourth out or something. So.
Were you proud though, like your first
match? It was cool because back then they had booked some pretty big names. Rhino Richards was on that card. Then I remember staring him in the eye, and he had the huge quads. Like, I was looking at him, I'm like, man, this guy, how am I ever going to make it in this business or even compete when there's guys like this running around whose quads are bigger than my waist? And
and
Glenn
did really well for himself. Oh yeah, he was in like the Truth Commission or something?
Glenn Kulka and like Edge and Christian were, just getting a developmental contract, so it was a really cool time to be part of it, and I was pretty fortunate.
Was that when it was still ICW then?
ICW, and I mean, I went around and before I had a match, I'd do like music and setup and stuff like that. Back then they had these little things, not CDs, they were cassette tapes, and the guys would hand you the cassette tape, and by the time the show starts you had a stack of cassette tapes, so I'd match them up to the matches on the card.
Did they have them rewound to the right parts
too? Or? Edge handed me like a giant 90-minute one. And I thought I was being a nice guy. I'm like, oh, it's right in the middle of the cassette. I'll cue it up for him and I'll rewind it all the way to the start.
Oh, no.
And I think, who was he fighting? I think he was actually fighting Christian that show. So Christian came out, no problem, looked at me, gave me the thumbs up. He's like, yeah, I went to the ring, hit Edge's music, and come on, it's not unusual. The Carlton song, where he's like,
Carlton Banks?
Yeah.
Oh, Tom Jones.
Yeah, it's not unusual, right?
And that wasn't the song you wanted.
And Edge is looking at me through the curtains, he's like, he's just like, he's upset, it's not his music, I cued it to the wrong spot, trying to help him out. And he's looking, he's like, I don't know. He's like, and he comes out and he's doing the dance, and he was pretty cool about it.
At least he owned it, yeah.
He owned it.
And like, I remember Ike would have those ICW shows, and he'd have like Tatanka, Bushwhackers, Greg Hammer Valentine.
Yeah.
Did you do any of those, or were around for any of them?
I was around, and I was only training on the weekends, right? And these other guys were doing it 5 days a week, and sometimes on the weekends. So they were getting 5 days a week, and I was getting a day or two, right?
And some of them lived in the school, whereas you lived locally, so you could just like come to the school.
He had a series of shows, yep, in Guelph, Cambridge.
There was Hamilton too.
Hamilton. And he had like King Kong Bundy, Tatanka. There was some brothers from Michigan, the Knox brothers, who come down.
Really?
Yeah, Lexus Machine and his brother, I forget his name, but they were two really nice guys, really cool guys, really buff guys. And I particularly remember one show where we had King Kong Bundy and the Bushwhackers and Honky Tonk and Tito Santana, and this was in Guelph. And one of the big auditoriums, and these were sold shows, man. These were big shows.
Yeah, they
sold out, big names, pyro. I mean, for my first shows, these were bigger than any shows I've been on lately, other than.
And some people still have the tapes of those, and yeah, they were huge numbers they were getting.
So I was just helping out. I didn't have a match, right? And I was helping in the back, making sure everyone had cleared out of the locker room. And the limo driver came back, and he's like, Brad, is everyone gone? I said, yeah, everyone's gone. He's like, are you sure? I told him I'm supposed to pick up one more person. I said, yeah, I looked. No one's here. I'm like, do you want to give me a lift back? He's like, sure, yeah, I'll give you a ride in the limo. So I hop in the back seat in the limo, and he drives me back to Guelph or Cambridge or wherever. The next day we're at Lulu's, which was a pretty big bar, the world's largest bar actually in Kitchener, on the border of Cambridge and Kitchener. And the whole day, no one's saying anything to me. And finally, one of the owners, Mark, I think his name was Mark.
Stifler or Steffler?
Steffler.
He was the one that gave
Steffler.
all the money to Ike to start.
I wasn't aware of that. But
no, he did. I read it from one of the other guys.
One of the shareholders, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, he came up and he's like, well, Brad, King Kong Bundy is pissed. I'm like, well, what's the matter? He's like, well, last night somebody stole his limousine from Guelph.
No.
And I mean, back then, I think I was like 16 and I still had a paper route to make some cash. And I'm thinking, well, I did take a limo at the end of the night, and he was looking for one more person. I'm just calculating in my head how many months of papers I would have to deliver to pay off this limo tab.
Oh, no, man.
For hours. So they had me on the string for like 2 hours. Finally, another guy came out, and he's like, Bundy finally stopped throwing stuff around the dressing room, and he wants to talk to you in the back, face to face.
Oh man, that would be intimidating.
The guy that killed Hulk Hogan. He killed Hulk Hogan, right? He splashed him, he killed him, basically.
Yeah,
Wants
I
to talk to me
remember
in the
it.
back, and he's finished throwing stuff around. So I go to the back, and Bundy goes nose to nose with me, and he's a little bit taller. He's a
Dude,
big,
I would be pissing my pants.
yeah, I was actually doing something else in my pants. And he comes up to me face to face, and he's puffed out, he's huffing and puffing, and he says, "Do you know who I am in this business?" I said, "I'm a effing legend."
Which, I mean,
And
WrestleMania too, like, he
was
he
big,
is
man.
a legend, man.
He is, man. WrestleMania. So, what do you say? I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. You know, I didn't know. I thought you were gone. And he went to poke me on the chest, and he burst out laughing. He's like, "I can't do this shit. I'm just ribbing you, kid."
Oh, man.
Oh, and then he was off. So I was all pretty loosey goosey after that. You know what I mean?
I guess so. So, like, when you first met Waldo, Waldo was such a great guy, and he was, like, into the back stuff, and, did you have a good relationship with him?
Waldo lived pretty close to my house, and in Elmira, and we'd hang out a lot, and we'd, you know, go for a coffee.
Oh, really?
Waldo was, you know, I didn't have access to all of his matches until later. You know, this stuff shows up on YouTube, and you can watch these guys, but I didn't know at the time how big of a star Waldo
Same with
was.
me. I didn't appreciate it
And
until I
I
did
tried
my
to
research.
appreciate it, and I was always very respectful to him, and I always listened, and I'm glad I did that. But I just wish I had been able to watch his matches to be 100% sincere. But he really got into rehabilitation and
He invented.
physical therapy and stuff like that. So he had an upside down chair to lengthen your
He
vertebrae.
invented a bunch of those.
Yeah, and he was an inventor, and good for him. Also, he drove a Porsche. I don't know if you knew that, and he drove me in his Porsche a couple of times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he had a Porsche, was it 911, a Porsche 911?
Damn, man.
And
Like,
he
he
was-
did good in wrestling and with the back stuff.
Was probably the only Porsche owner in the whole world to install a CB radio on his
Seriously?
dash.
Wow, and you rode in that car?
Yeah, we had a CB, like a trucker radio.
Really?
Slab nuts, copy, shh, in his dash, drilled in.
Seriously?
Yeah, wow,
I did not
impressive.
know that. I
Yeah,
didn't
that's
even
cool.
see his car. He
That's
would come in
badass.
once a week when I was there. And
Mhm.
he told me some amazing stories, like how he'd main event in one town and get on a private plane and then main event in Madison Square Garden the same day.
Yeah.
Did he ever tell you any interesting?
I would talk to Waldo more about strength training because, like I said, I didn't watch a lot of his matches or anything like that, but there were a lot of pictures of him in his younger days, and he was pretty built, and he had that classic physique of power. He wasn't ripped up, but he was a big fellow, and he gave me a lot of workout advice. You know, how I could build myself up and how to target smaller muscles that you don't see in the mirror, like your rhomboids and your rear delts and stuff like that, and it was really helpful.
Yeah, he's very knowledgeable about that stuff. And so you did the Battle Royal. When did you start doing some of the other shows? I know you went and did that one in Detroit with Dan Severn and
The NWA, yeah,
yeah.
Dan Severn,
Yeah.
lots of matches, yeah, for sure. That was a pretty cool event. We had to go across the border with Aisha rather, and all the students, so there was Super Kamikaze was there,
oh yeah, right, yeah. And
his brother,
yeah, I know them.
Showtime Eric Young,
Yeah, they were all there back
Eric
then.
Young was there, Sid Summers was there. He actually did an exhibition boxing match against a pro boxer.
Seriously?
Yeah, and
Sid was my first trainer when I got there.
he basically got beat up from a boxer by being punched in the face to death, and he came backstage, you know, and notably was upset, because, I mean, you can't help but get those emotions when you're that physical in a ring, but I had to hand it to him. I had a lot of respect for him for doing that. And also on that show, I think, Chico Rodriguez, I don't know if you remember him.
No.
Chico Rodriguez was there, and he was my opponent. And it's funny because sometimes in a match, we had worked a series of matches together, so we were pretty good and pretty fluent. And we kind of had that chemistry together. And
Like,
we
you know what each other's
yeah,
gonna
and we
do.
liked each other, we were comfortable. And sometimes in a match, things go on that you don't necessarily know about till you go back and watch the tape. So we came back from Michigan. I took a plane, actually. There's another story about that with Ike Shaw, and Ike ended up peeing in a Del Monte
I think I read about that.
glass jar. He was
Where-
whizzing in it,
and it
it's
stunk
like
really bad
it
or
was a
something?
Cessna plane. It's like 6 seats, and you know Joe's 400 pounds, and he's whizzing in a mini Del Monte cup, and the whole cockpit and area smells like farts in the urinal. It's absolutely disgusting. So we got back, and we're at the school watching the tape from Michigan, Dan Severn's show, and sure enough, Mark was laughing, or Chico Rodriguez is laughing his ass off at this video or match. What's so funny? He's like, well, you see this guy sitting in the front row? He whipped a nickel at me during the match. And you can see it. The guy winds up and whips a nickel at the wrestler. You're not supposed to throw stuff at the wrestlers.
Yeah, the old days, man.
So we took we did a couple spots, took a couple bumps, and Chico had me kind of set up for like a power bomb. Like I was bent over, and he was setting me up for like a pile driver or something. I can't remember. And I just saw him grab something off my back and wind up and whip it back at the guy in the crowd. And you see, all you can see is the silhouette of the guy's head from behind, but you see him go boom, because yeah, Chico smoked him with the nickel back in the head, and then he pulled the spot off. So it was pretty funny, there's always something funny.
Damn, I wish you still had that tape.
I wish I still did. Dan Severn doesn't have it. Chico Rodriguez lost all his tapes in a flood, so
oh man,
if it's out there, I want to see it.
No doubt.
That was a good match. That was one of my good matches.
Dude, you've had a lot of good matches over the years, and
That was one of them.
you've been doing it for like 20 years, and I know